And we are live, yes. So, it has been a while since I streamed the last time, to be honest. I was pretty busy working on my book actually. So, for those of you who don't know, I just released a brand new book on Angular Signals, which I'm pretty happy about. So, if you want to check that out, like, of course, feel free. Not forced to, but under angularexperts.io/products you can find new Angular Signals ebook, which just freshly dropped. We still have a discount, 20%, so if you're interested in Angular Signals, go ahead, check that out. Cool, but today we want to talk about Angular Control Flow. So it's an upcoming feature in Angular 17. I think it should already be there in like the newer versions or in the release candidates. So I actually want to try it out. So what I will do is let's go to document codes private, and then we want to make a new control flow directory. So basically what we will do, we need the latest Angular CLI, so npx at Angular CLI next. Which one is that? Yeah, we install it. So that should be the next version then. Isn't it minus? Is it just version? Yeah, so 17 next, 9 we are going to use. I quickly have to reply here. Sorry for that. So now what we will do is basically generate a new project next, and then we say new, and let's call it just control flow. So we will use SAS, server-side rendering, so that's already new. So the server-side rendering option was never asked before. That's the Angular 17 feature, right? So that we get asked out of the box, do you want to enable SSR? For our case, no, we don't want that. Okay, so let's already go to GitHub and let's generate a new project. And sorry for that, I still have to write here. Hi Dennis463, how is it going? How are you doing? So let's go with new template, control flow. Let's go with that. It's a public repository, that's all good. So we generate the repository and we want to push an existing one. So how did we call it? Control flow, and paste that in, and we should have some code ready. Boom, it's pushed. All good. So let's open up an IDE. And I will open it up on my other screen. And then move it over. Documents, code. So I'm really excited about this control feature. It looks, this control flow feature. It looks very exciting, very promising. So let's see. So the first thing that we are going to do is probably we make like multiple components. So let's maybe start with a directory, let's say examples, and inside here we create a new file, ngifelse.component. Of course, this will be a Angular component, ngifelse, please make it standalone true. The template, we will use an inline template. I think that's perfectly fine here. Let's call it ngIf else for the moment. ngIf else component, and this is something we paste here. And now we go to our app component, which is also standalone. We paste in the ngIf else component, right? And then we can use it here. ngIf else, we go with self-closing tag. So that should display. Do you have any courses with Angular in video format or only videos on YouTube? I only have videos on YouTube currently. So we offer some workshop, but usually they are targeted for teams. But I haven't yet recorded a video course. But yeah, usually we have workshops for teams. You can find them here under workshops with Thomas, reactive, like getting reactive with RxJS. We have a state management workshop, Angular mastery. Something we have to rework a bit now with all the new Angular features coming up. But I don't have like recorded ones. Sorry for that. So ngIf else, we have that here, ngIf else. Nice, so that's already working. So now what we want to do is, basically I think we should probably compare like the old syntax and the new syntax. So like, oh my god, why is everything hanging? So let's say in this ngIf else component, what we will do is basically use an ngIf else. So I rarely use this, but let's say ngIf, let's say we have, I'm just thinking of a good example, so maybe like streaming service, and we have Netflix or we have Apple TV. Let's go Apple TV. And let's also type that. So we say Apple TV or Netflix, and Ted Lasso. Yeah, I think he's basically confused because I have not defined an else block yet. So we import the ngIf. I usually, it's just me, but I like to have the imports here at the end somehow. So we import ngIf, and then ngIf streaming service. Which one was it? Equals to Apple TV. Then we render this one, and else we define, I think it was an ng template, where we just say, okay, this is the else block, right? And we close the ng template, and here Peaky Blinders. Why? Because this of course is a closing tag. And why don't you recognize ngIf? But it is. I think this should work. So we have Ted Lasso, right? And if you would toggle that, so let's maybe add a button like toggle. And then we here say, or change to Netflix. This dot streaming service equals to Netflix, and then we also do one where we say change to Apple TV. Apple TV, right? Then on the toggle we say, here we say Netflix. We add some nice click handler. Change to Netflix, and here change to Apple TV. So now we Apple TV. Okay, good. So if we go to Netflix, we see Peaky Blinders. We don't see basically both in a block because this is a block, right? And inside here we don't have a div, which is basically then without a div it's displayed inline. So, but now this should work. Peaky Blinders. So, makes sense. Now, let's take a look how we can use the new control flow syntax. So that would basically be here like, let's add some comment here like old style. And now let's go ahead and I quickly have to fix here my keyboard. Now, so where are we? And here we go with new style. So, and now the new style basically, I think the way this is declared is by using if, yeah, what you had there. If streaming service Apple TV, then basically render that div here with Ted Lasso inside. So we go 15 down. And else, I think it's like this, else, I mean Copilot does it, div Peaky Blinders. I mean, can even inline that. And then I think we have to close the if, yes. So, I don't know if this is just the ID, but this should actually work. Maybe we do that down here, and then we add here like a title. Quickly have to change something in the setting. Okay, now. So, let's see if that compiles. That doesn't compile. Invalid missing. I thought this is the way how you define that. But I don't know if... I mean, this looks good. Isn't this already out, this control flow? I thought it is out in the latest. Add syntax. Ah, yeah, of course. Yeah, they were the... Yeah. That's true. Because I'm just checking the... let's see. I'll bring that over. Because I'm just checking the RFC, but probably there somewhere they mentioned, because here they don't use this, but you're saying that it's with, but still the brackets, right? Or is the bracket, is it coming in front? I don't know. I'm actually not sure how it is. Add if. Okay, so that changed, right? So add if. Probably I don't need the brackets here. Okay, nice. Oh my god, I've missed that. I've seen so much about it. Thanks so much. Add. Maybe I still need the bracket. And then, do you still need the parentheses? Isn't this somewhere documented, like Angular control flow? The data from user preferring add. That's what you're saying, the add, right? So add if, yeah. I mean, that looks good. Else. Probably I don't need the ending if. Okay, this compiles, or it seems to be. Yeah, now we have it. Thanks, Ilber. Like, I completely missed that somehow. So busy with the signals. Okay, cool. So then this is probably something that just the ID doesn't know, but I was still wondering if I could leave away those braces. Like, no, it doesn't compile. Okay, I still need those. But then basically I can do it like this. And now we could even say, like, do we have another one? How's the other one called? Disney Plus. Disney Plus, and so change to Disney. Of course, we will add another button. Disney Plus. And then here we will say change to Disney, right? And then we can say else if streaming service is Netflix, and otherwise we add another else block where we say yeah, it should be Disney. By the way, Ilber, how is the... Congrats for the book, thanks a lot. I'm pretty happy. It was a crazy amount of work. It was a really insane amount of work. Writing a book is like, yeah. I mean, I've written like a lot of blog posts, but a book is something else, right? Until you get it right, until you have like all the readovers, then I did a couple of runs where I reread through it again. Then I thought that this could be added, this could be added, this could be added. Then before I released, Angular was removing the mutate function on signals, right? So then I had to rewrite that chapter. That was 2 days before the release. So now I'm just happy that it's out. And there will be updates for sure. But yeah, it was a crazy amount of work. So therefore I was also not streaming so much during that time. So yeah, we have basically this new syntax, which is very nice. Streaming service. Yeah, but for these cases, probably we can use switch case. I rarely use the switch case, but we will make an example. Switch case minus By the way, Ilbert, how is your blog post doing? I also had like one chapter in my Signals book where I explained also basically what you have written in your blog post. I had it already written there. It was like this on push stuff. So switch case example, that's the selector. So we need the component. We need to register the component here, import it, and then maybe like later we could add routing, but for the moment let's just uncomment. How did we call switch case example? So we have that switch case example. Now I have to get the book, man. Yeah, sure. That would be great. There's a lot of cool insight in the book. We took like quite some deep dive session together with Thomas, like also in the office we stayed longer then, and we took some deep dive sessions into the push-pull-pull algorithm, which was pretty cool. Yeah, so switch case example. And where was I? Now I actually have to look it up, ng switch case, because there is, yeah, this is the syntax. So again, we start with those, let's just copy it over. We again take the Netflix example. So container element, so that would just be a div. I mean, this can even be, yeah, it can be a div, whatever. So probably we have to import ng switch. ng switch. Are those multiple directives? ng switch case. I never used this in practice, never. So again, we have the same things actually. So those things we just copy over. Right, also the buttons we just copy. So we have those button there. And now what we want, streaming service, that should go away. I think that's just ID. Case, is it like this? Probably as a string, I guess. Now which one is the single one? This one. Apple TV, Ted Lasso, and then we say if it's Disney Plus. Oh my god, I don't know if this works like this. What is a good Disney Plus series? How is it called? Mandalorian, I think. And default we just show Peaky Blinders. Maybe we should close the diffs. So we have Netflix, right? We have it like this, and if we don't display anything like initially, so if we don't set this, so then we probably have to say or undefined. Then we get Peaky Blinders as the default case, right? So normal switch case. Yeah, let's actually go with that. Now let's try to use again the old syntax. So here we say switch case example. Old syntax, and now, how is the new syntax? I would have expected something. Let's see if we can make it like without looking up the doc, because I've never used this feature. So I would have expected basically like JS. I mean, if this is the case, I already like it because that's very intuitive. But the formatting, I mean, that's the idea. I guess they will bring support for this once this feature is released. For the moment, we just have to do it manually. So we have defined 2 cases. Disney Plus. Yeah. Okay, and default, I mean, it does it. Let's see if that works. So that's the new syntax right down here. I don't know if the white is too brutal. We can also change it if you want. And also let's make things a bit bigger so that we have it like this. And I really don't like the white. Let's go and change that. Styles, so let's say on the body we say a height of 100 of the view height, and we give it a background. And basically I don't want black, I want my nice skull background, which is this one, and the color we set to white. So that should basically look better. I don't know, since it's the global styles, probably have to restart. Unclosed block switch. Yeah, the formatting is not good yet. But now we have it like in a darker mode. Peaky Blinders, Ted Lasso, Mandalorian, right? So that's basically the syntax for Switch. Let's see what else they have. So we have covered if else, we have covered switch cases. Now let's do some for loops. Let's do some loops. For loop.component.ts. Again, let's take everything that is in here. We call it for loop example. Like this, for loop example. Of course, we have to add it to the imports array, but we didn't rename it. Which one is it? This one. For loop right, import that. Okay, for loop example. So here, what do we want to do? We probably want to list streaming services. So let's say we have a list of streaming services. So that would be more like equals. And then of course, here we have a comma, and here we have a comma. Let's nicely separate that. What do we want to test? Let's first go with that, with just simply that. So let's get rid of the buttons, just the buttons, not anything else. So the new style. Okay, let's go with the old syntax first. So let's say we have an unordered list, ng4 let streaming service so I guess we should also name that one here streaming services, and then we do inside here, yes, and that is an unordered list, something like that. Then here, oh my God. What? ng4. So that should basically display the streaming services. So we have now displayed streaming services, Apple TV, Netflix, Disney Plus. So let's do it with the new add 4. Yeah, let's streaming service of streaming service, and I believe that trackby is now basically required. So this is somehow wrong, right? Again, syntax add 4. We don't need just like this. Add 4 item off. Of streaming services. Okay, you're saying I need to brace like this. And now, that's what I meant with the track function. Ilber, you're saving me here. That's cool. Have you already worked with this API, or how do you know it so well? Actually, where is the current state documented? I'm not sure because I just checked the RFC. But now we basically need a track function. In earlier versions it was called trackby, and now it's basically just a track building function. That's pretty cool because then you don't have to build the track function yourself. Yeah, you did some experiments, yes. Cool. Yeah, so track, and then we'll probably be streaming service just like this because we don't really have ID. And now that's the new syntax. Of course, we should use LE. And then I guess the unordered list item comes around here so that we have it properly. I think that's basically how we have to write it. But now, yeah. I mean, that makes sense, right? Yeah. So something like this. Still the spacings is a bit bigger here, which is actually a bit weird. I don't see why the spacing should be bigger here. I mean, what is the difference? We have an unordered list. Here we have multiple. Of course, stupid. So this was correct. Yeah, so far which kind of syntax do you like more? Because with the if else I'm really in favor of this over basically this. I really favor this. This is so much more readable. And for the switch case, of course, I really favor basically the new approach. This is more readable, especially if it's then well properly formatted. For the for loops, I'm not yet sure, but probably if I format it well, yeah, no, it's better readable. I like it. So what else do they have? So they have some migration for the trackby. So I'm also curious how this, I guess that this basically also works with the async pipe. This should be like new syntax with async pipe. So let's say we have a streaming service stream, which is basically of listed streaming services, and we just pipe them and delay them by, I don't know, 2 seconds maybe. So we have to... Why don't you import that? What? I mean, okay. Because... yeah, I'm a bit underslept, I think. So this I like to format, and now we should be able to use this using the async pipe. This should actually work. Still not. Streaming service. I called it streaming service now. Of course, this name has to match. Still not. He also says it's unused. Aha. Okay. Forgot to import the async file. New syntax with the async pipe, and you see how it's coming. So that's basically working, I guess. It also works with signals. I would say so. Like, or let's say, let's also test how it maybe does with, yeah, let's see how it does with signals. Streaming services, let's just call it signal. I would usually not call it like that, just because the value is already taken. And now the question is, do we want to get it from the observable? Do we want to create our own signal? Maybe to signal listed streaming services. So I would expect that this also works. Of course, I mean, it has to work. So I think it's signal, right? Reloading. This one is the last one, so that works, so it all works, right? So yeah, that's pretty cool. Now what they also said here is, that's the track, something else. I think there's also now something called an empty block or something. 4 block repeaters, yeah, 4. So we still have index, first, last, even, odd. I mean, we can also quickly lock them out, right? So that we really play around with it. So what did we say here? We have let and then basically, can we also do it multi-line? let E equals $index. Then we do first, last, even, odd. And of course we actually want to log all of them out. I mean, this will look ugly, but whatever. Last. It's broken. It's just the odd that's broken. Oh my god, I'm doing so many mistakes here. Maybe, of course. There's no fist variable. Yeah, so true, false, true, whatever, right? So we get basically the point. Here I want to use streaming services, I just want to have them immediately. I'm just too lazy, so this is not a signal, that's all good. Okay, so yeah, that's basically how we can use those built-in things. That's pretty cool. The empty block is what I wanted to try. Items track item name. So if there is no item, we can do it an empty block. So let's maybe do a new file, empty.component, which is just rename. Empty component. So we remove that stuff. Let's call this empty for block. Empty block example. Let's optimize here. Let's say we take that out, we go to our app component, just paste that in, we remove that, we go here, we add empty component, right? Something like that. And now inside our empty component, we should already see in our application empty block. Empty for block, right? Good. And now what we do here is we have streaming services and we add a button. Add streaming services. So now basically we assign a new array, but we could also, I mean, I prefer this actually. What is the problem? Yeah. Just any. That's my TypeScript song. I'm in pain, like sometimes with TypeScript. So basically we have an unordered list and now we say add for streaming service of streaming services, and inside here we do the streaming service, right? And now, what do they say? It's an empty block. Probably no streaming services or no streaming items, whatever. Something like that. But then how would you do now if you want to make like a div or a unordered list? How would you do that? But let's first see if this works. After a for block, which it use. I think I also forgot to track. Did I? Now basically you see how initially we get no streaming items, and then once you click we get the streaming items, which is cool. So I like that. But then still, how would you now do, let's say we want to display, because as far as I understand, we are displaying this is inside an unordered list. Yes. So now if we don't want that, yeah, then probably we would use an ngFels. So then we probably don't use this. So what we would do is probably add if streaming service.length, right? And then we do this, because you can nest those, but oh my god, the syntax highlighting is not good yet. Of course, this is a div. But then this one, isn't it? No. No streaming items, and then once we click we get the items, right? So that's basically how we can use this syntax. Somehow my browser hangs. Is the stream still working? And because, oh my god, one of my browser completely hangs. Let's see. Okay. So yeah, good. What else? What else? I think they even have schematics to automatically migrate that. So that's something I would also want to try. So then they have iterable differs. ngFor, yeah, okay. Yeah, I think that's the basic of the control flow. So one thing that they also have is defer, but I think that's something I will look at in another stream. As I already mentioned today, I feel a bit like tired, So this will be a short stream where we just cover the control flow. I just want to make sure that we covered like everything basically. But now you see how everything hangs. Why? So I think we have covered NGFLs, switch, and NG4 basically, and NG4 with the empty block. Then we have the track. I think we covered all those topics. So I think that's pretty cool. I'm really excited for this new syntax. It's an amazing syntax. I still think it looks a bit more like Svelte, but I mean, I always liked Svelte, and I hope we get better IDE support for this soon. And yeah, so in the next one we will probably have a look at defer, which is a cool syntax. So let's also go ahead and push that. Git status, git add everything. Feed, use new. Also, and that's good. Nice. Push origin main. Boom. Good. And it's done. I think we have it now here. Control flow updated now. And there are the examples if you want to check that out. But I think that's pretty cool. So yeah. So that's everything for today. Then next one we will do a defer, and maybe we'll also talk a bit about the book. Maybe I do a dedicated stream where I talk about the book, just like more some broader examples, like why we need signals, what they are, and so on. More like from a beginner point of view, and then maybe also some in-depth stuff, but let's see. Okay, anyway, thanks everybody for joining. Have a nice evening and see you soon. Bye-bye.